mountain, multiple towers or anything along those sorts, and we'll have to see how both of these teams feel as we are live in Champions League.
I just remembered.
He did get blue buff.
He had blue buff control.
He did get blue buff control, so we'll give them props for that one. Right now, Gambit, first ban, they have removed Fizz. This is a replica of the previous ban.
Yeah, same stuff so far. When you have small changes, you usually save them till the end so that your opponents don't see them coming. So if Gambit are going to make their change, it doesn't seem to be that drastic. If it's coming at all, it has to be in the last one now because there's already used 2.
Yeah, so for 2 for 2 as far as both of these teams are concerned. However, Cassidy is still up and available.
And also, Gambit now have first pick. So if they are worrying about that Zac, they can always just take it away.
We'll have to see how Gambit decide to play this one out. They have 10 seconds left before the final ban comes into place. And remember that the winner of this matchup goes to the grand finals tomorrow and to LA. And they actually felt TF was a little scarier.
So no adjustments in the ban phase. The only difference here is that they are now first pick. So we'll probably see them start off their composition much differently. They will be in the driver's seat this time, and now it's up to Lemondogs. You can see the discussion here. Mithy did make that last call before the last ban, and it's a very interesting ban in Yorick, thinking that Gambit were going to go with one of those revive hypercarry builds.
We've seen the Yorick comp a couple of times from several different teams to varied levels of success. Sometimes really good, sometimes less than stellar. And I guess it is kind of a hit or miss as far as the champion's concerned. Gambit, this time around Thresh was banned out, insta-locked, and Lemondogs, they're not messing around.
Yeah, that was a pretty clear choice there from Lemondogs. They were like, here's some candy dangling in front of you. They took 1 second to snatch both of those picks.
So the one thing that you cannot discount from that insta-lock is that Gambit would have been aware of it. Gambit would have been well aware that if they let the Zac and the Jarvan go through, that it would have been picked up. So what this tells me is that Gambit may believe they have a counter to the champions, and we'll have to see where they go. Diamondprox has been doing very well in Lee Sin lately. His Lee has been particularly good. The week 8, week 9, when we've seen a lot of Lees here in EU, everybody was really upping their game with all of the kickbacks and the mobility and the craziness.
Oh yeah, well look at the screen.
I know. I'm getting excited.
But yeah, again, Dexter locking in at Jarvan. Jarvan does not tell your enemies anything about what you're trying to run here. Zac, a tiny bit, but pretty much the same thing. There's so many options still left up for Lemondogs. Very powerful picks and very open-ended picks. Jarvan is basically the best all-around jungler. He can work with almost anything that you have. With Orianna taken away, at least that's one thing they can't combo, is the very, very common Cataclysm Shockwave.
So the one thing that we are seeing here from Gambit, though, is that Aatrox, with the fact that Diamondprox ran in the previous game, we're still not 100% sure whether that's top lane or whether that's jungle Aatrox.
You're right. Now
we'll have to see where they confirm it.
Now I will not place any bets. I will give no 95% odds on this one.
Well, it's 50-50, top lane or jungle. Okay. I'm going to be brave enough to say that right now.
The Zed pickup, though, they did actually... We see Lemondogs taking away something that Alex used. After there's an Orianna lock-in, Lemondogs feel the necessity to pick up the very strong duelists. Fizz and Ahri are already off the table, so there's sort of a very interesting tier of split pushing duelists right now, and he's really the only one up there with those 2 guys that was left. Now it's Lemondogs that are really in the driver's seat for that split game. As Shen, Fizz, Ahri, Twisted Fate, all gone. That's so much mobility that's not going to be there for Gambit to try and answer. We'll
have to see how well Nukeduck can actually have an impact in this game, because with the exception of maybe Kog'Maw, there's a lot of shields and revive. The ultimate from Renekton's a lot of HP, the shields from Orianna, you've got a shield from Thresh, you've got a revive from Aatrox. It's going to be particularly difficult to insta-give somebody in one foul swoop, but the pressure's on Nukeduck to make it happen.
Gambit are going with just adjustments to their play style, not the types of champions that they're picking. These are Gambit champions. Voidal, #1 champion, Thresh. What was his name? Darien! One of his best champions, Renekton. Going back to that one. Diamond, big fan of that Aatrox now, as we've seen in the last game.
New upgrade, new upgrade.
It's had a pretty good showing here so far this weekend. So Gambit really just going to play into the more aggressive early game style that they're used to. we'll look to see Darien aiding Diamond with his counter jungling efforts, again getting down those very deep jungle wards inside of Lemondog's jungle so that they can keep track of Dexter, make sure he doesn't get any surprise ganks off on Alex, because Alex really wants to be able to control the mid game, and if he's constantly getting ganked by Zed or by the Jarvan Zed combo, then it's gonna take out basically the playmaker for Gambit.
Well, we'll have to see whether or not he can keep control of him. That is going to be the key in this matchup. We've seen the junglers butting heads early on in game number 1, and it was Diamond Prox that came out ahead. One thing that I am excited to see in this particular matchup is the return of 2 hyper carries. We've got a Cogbo on one side, we've got a Vayne on the other, and you know, we don't tend to see these 2 hyper carries together at all. We don't tend to see a lot of Cogmo very much. He really fell off fairly sharply in the last couple of months.
Yeah, but Genja does not really use normal quote-unquote champions. He's always been one to step outside the box. He likes Kog'Maw for the extra range and percentage damage that you get when popping that W, and they always will combo that with Thresh. The only reason he took that Kog'Maw is because they already had Thresh. That's why Thresh was their first pick. They've got an escape for the late game carry that usually does not have an escape. Whereas Lemondogs have comboed the sort of dive counter in Zyra with their Vayne. Vayne is looking to tumble around the sides and use her invisibility to get into good positions. Zyra's going to be there to back her up.
Well, we'll have to see how effectively they can pull that off. We are jumping into game number 2 in the second semi-final. If the Lemondogs pick up a victory, they will be the second team to go 2-0 in the semi-finals, confirm their ticket to LA, and also challenge for the European Regional Finals tomorrow against Fnatic. Question is, can they redo what they did in game 1? It was a slow tactical victory, which they're going to be looking to replicate. Alex starting with cloth armor as well as a bunch of potions, that's definitely going to be helping him out.
One thing that I think will aid Gambit towards that late game is that with Diamond on Aatrox, they have potential for diving a turret. Whenever you have revived passives, that's a very good point to start off those fights. And if Lemondogs do send Zed to split push, as teams so often try, then Gambit can go for those turret dives on the 5 versus 4 situation, and Diamond will be sort of the first tank, use his passive, and then hopefully they'll be able to have Darien pick up the aggro with him immediately putting out damage onto some of Lemondogs, and they're just going to try and capitalize on that 5 versus 4 fight. But as we said before, Zyra, sort of the queen of counter-engage, which makes that situation fairly hard. Looks like Lemondogs did a lot of prep once again.
Well, we'll see if they can make it work, because all the theory crafting and planning amounts to nothing if you don't land the abilities and actually react properly. They seem to have all the answers in game number 1.
Yep.
It was all about the Lemondogs. They definitely want to replicate it. This time around, we are going to be seeing the head-to-head matchups in the bottom lane, as our 2 solo laners are going to be middle and top respectively. And we've seen a very extended laning phase in the previous game. I think it was about 16 or so minutes before the first tower fell. I recall specifically at 20 minutes in, it was 1-1 on towers and there was no kills yet. It was a very slow start. I wonder if we'll see the same this time.
Yeah, so it's going to be a bit slower of an early game because we have the even setup instead of the 2 versus 1 lanes. Looking at the mid lane though, you can see Alex does not want to get bullied here. He starts off with a shield from Orianna to make use of her passive and those extra hard hitting auto attacks. Because this Nukeduck Zed here has gone with the classic red elixir rather than the sort of less seen but also viable Dorian shield start whenever you go up against an auto attacking mid laner. Alex is going to punish him for that choice and get those auto attack harass off very early. Now the thing is, when you go aggressive in a lane, whenever you're in this 1 versus 1 situation, you always keep in the back of your mind the timer on the jungler. Most junglers do not gank after the first buff. In this meta, now with the buffs giving so much experience, almost everyone will grab double buffs before coming. So that means before that 3-minute mark, you can be as aggressive as you want.
And we've already seen that happening as both middle and bottom lanes for Gambit went very aggressive very early. They were trading all sorts of damage, and Alex has basically been in Nukeduck's face the entire time we've had him on camera, trying to get as many of those auto attacks down as possible, trying to keep him on the back foot as often as possible. And for the time being, It does look like Alex has got a little bit of control in that lane. We've broken the 3-minute 30 markers now. Nukebuck and Alex, they're trading. Ignite is down, and Alex forced a flash away. Was very afraid of that shuriken. Ignite's traded, but Alex burned a flash as well.
Yeah, so it may have been a good call there because Nukeduck does have flash, and Zed with that passive of extra damage when you are below 50%. Alex was worried about the burst, but Diamond had already shown in lane, and I don't think Nukeduck was thinking he was going to chase. Very interesting counter jungle there by Dexter, securing his own Wraith.
Well, we did see that in the previous game. Dexter got a little bullied by Diamond in the early matchup, lost some of his camps and was pushed around. He's definitely looking to avenge that in this particular game. We do see the hook, throws out, catches a caster minion. Unfortunately, there's nothing going to follow from that one. Middy, well aware that that's on cooldown, starts using that very long range of Zyra to get as many auto attacks as possible. In the bottom lane, they've traded quite heavily right now. Middy is out of wards, he's out of his biscuit, he's just sitting on that lonely potion, whereas Voidal seems to have a couple more consumables as they land the hook. Is it going to be followed up? Not this time. Just the Void Ooze to get a little bit of that puke down onto Middy. I was trying to think of a polite word, I couldn't find one, so I had to go with it.
That's very descriptive, I like it.
Yeah.
Colorful language. They do, he has a few more consumables, but it's not very telling here. He's gone utility, so he's got that biscuit. He's just got more regen, which will supplement those changes that have gone into Thresh recently, which made him a little bit squishier, reducing his armor and health, making his trades earlier a little bit less effective. But as long as you use your shield effectively, he can still come out ahead in those 2 vs 2 situations.
Well, taking a look at these summoner spells as we go down, there are 3 ignites per side, no exhaust yet. We'll see whether or not that comes to bite anybody or whether or not it'll help anyone out. You know, there is that Zed in there, there is a Vayne and a Cogmore. Now Diamond Prox does avoid the knockup. The slow did actually come in, and all of a sudden Diamond turns it back on. Nukeduck forced to use that Living Shadow to get out cleanly. It's quite a bit of damage at Diamond Prox. However, that Bloodthirst is going to be able to heal him up quite nicely.
Giant chunk right there, and it was basically, you watch the cooldowns of your opponent, it's how you want to do trades. As soon as the combo from Jarvan's down, he is a very ineffective combatant. Without that, he has almost nothing left. So that was why Diamond tried to get something out of the combo, but Zed is so slippery, he was able to get away without blowing anything. And
once again, Diamond Prox and Dexter showing the focus and the targeting in this mid lane. Diamond Prox trying to help out Alex as best as possible. Neither jungler managing to get themselves in any sort of advantage.
So yeah, this is the same matchup that we talked about at the beginning. There was going to be a lot of focus on the mid lane because both of these teams love to camp for their mid to get that person rolling so that they can roam the map and make plays. Alex for Gambit has always been the one who makes the big flashy plays. Diamond being the secondary initiator there as he runs into Jarvan as well. Everyone's going to be aware of the situation.
Good tumble from Tabs, manages to get out of range of the death sentence. Now we do see Diamond Prox trying to get himself in. Dark Passage was thrown down, but Diamond Prox decides not to buy a ticket, decides not to take the ride. And we do see that Mithy and Tabs are able to escape. It does look like they're recalling, so first buy going to come down in favor of Lemondogs in that bottom lane.
Alas, no initiation here, no action. And we are having that expected slower start to the game that it seemingly both teams have been okay with. This time around, Gambit have a stronger position. Last time, Lemondogs really had it all planned out all the way through the 30-minute mark.
Well, Darian and Zora 0, they're trading damage up in that top lane. Once again, 2 sort of bruisers. This time 1 AD versus 1 AP, and both of them have got some pretty good sustain tools available, so it's going to be a farm fest, I guess, until any sort of jungle focus comes down. It was interesting in that previous game, we hardly seen any sort of ganks in those solo laners. They were basically just left on a little island to play and trade and fight as best as possible. Darren actually using that Dominus just to farm up the way.
Woo! Couple ults burned up there. Zoro Zero uses his as well. Darian's favorite, one of his favorite top laners is that Renekton because of the potential to bully in lane. Zac already picked though is very, very hard to take out of lane by anyone.
Deathmark almost enough to pick up the kill onto Alexich. He was able to flash away, get the command protect down. Dexter even used the Cataclysm, so a couple of ultimates being thrown down there from Lemondogs. And Alex quite casually actually just walks away from that one, and it worked into his favor.
That's a very good job of Alex avoiding that. He had to burn his flash just to get out of the Cataclysm, but besides that, he's fine. The blue buff doing a really good job enabling him to get off enough shields and slows to kite 2 people here. It's going to be up to Diamond to actually answer that aggression. Without the flash, you can see already Alex is very scared, and he actually just lost the large Wraith up there in mid. Nukeduck stealing it away with his shadow.
Well, we'll see how well Alex can deal.
That's as big as the wins are going to be at this point in the game. I got the giant Wraith.
Well, previously Dexter was able to secure the giant Wraith. Shockwave comes down. Nukeduck's able to get out of range of that one, I believe. Does use that living shadow, and once again, ultimate's traded. This time, however, nothing landed. Genja gets caught out. A shield goes down from Voidal to block some of the damage. And even after being rooted in place, Tabs has got nowhere to condemn the Caterpillar. Does instead turn around. So they continue the farm fair. 69 CS there for Genja's Cogmore. Triple Doran's Blade once again secured. Now another fight breaks out. Massacre comes down from Diamond Prox. He instantly backs away. Deathmark is not available, but they don't know that just yet. Midi,
here we go.
His Ignite ticking. Box comes down. Midi has to try to get away. Stranglethorn throws up Voidal into the air. This could be first blood. The living artillery secures it from a map away. Genja managing to pick that one up. They do trade supports, however, as Tabs picks up the kill. The Condemned does not manage to come out, and Genja flashes away from the knockup.
Both supports going down. First blood, though. Genja with the living artillery. Like you said, now Alex is under trouble, though.
Deathmark available. The Shadow Slashes come out. There's the Shuriken. A flash forward for Nukeduck, and the Deathmark will pop. Orianna gets dropped. Lemondogs with a 2-1 advantage.
There's the lack of flash that we saw was going to make Alex play a bit more cautious. The only reason he actually did not is because he saw Dexter down bottom. Nukeduck, though, taking advantage of his ulti coming back off cooldown before Alex's. Because Alex had just tried to use it in that attempted gank by Diamond, he knew that he could essentially follow up his ulti with that flash auto kill.
So, with the exception of Alex being on the scoreboard, both AD carries have a kill. Mid laner for Nukeduck has a kill. However, Alex does have a 20 CS advantage right now, so going to be a little bit closer as far as that gold is concerned. He has been sitting on that Seeker's Arm Guard for a little while, so that's going to at least build him up some more armor and help, well, try to survive Nukeduck's burst. And of course, with that Tear of the Goddess, it's going to eventually become that Seraph's Embrace, which will also help, but we are many, many, many minutes away from that one. All of the laners return once again.
And far into the future, where we can see our Seraph's Embrace upgrade even. That's going to be like 20 minutes down with those tier changes.
I'm personally seeing team fights. That's what I'm seeing in my future. I'm not going to predict it, but it's what I'm seeing. It's what I'm visualizing. It's what I'm hopeful for.
What good is a crystal ball if you don't use it?
Right,
all right, Lemondogs going to force one.
Going to start the Dragon off. They've got some vision. Here come Gambit from the side. Dragon is a little bit low. Both top laners are not there. Alex is coming in alone. Shockwave catches 3. Tabs, Dexter, Mithy are in trouble, but a very nice grasping roots holds Diamond Prox in face. Dexter forced to flash over the wall. Gambit haven't stopped yet. They want to play. The knockup throws Mithy in the air. He gets slowed. The death sentence sentences him to death, and Mithy falls victim. Wow. True damage hits very, very hard, ladies and gentlemen. Now all of a sudden, Gambit with the numbers advantage. They're putting pressure in the mid lane, and they're grouping up around the Dragon as well.
So because of that action down bottom where both supports lost their lives, there was no flash for Mithy to escape this one. I really thought Diamond was going to flash to Dark Flight to follow up on that amazing shockwave from Alex, and he probably thought the same thing. That's why he actually blew his ultimate while Diamond was so far away. But Diamond, very patient, doesn't blow his flash, waits for the single kill there. That's one thing about Aatrox. Yes, he puts out a huge amount of damage early, but a lot of it depends on being very close to his target because it comes from auto attacks and it comes from that E that he will max first. That's a sort of inverted cone that gets very hard to hit the further away from him you are.
I just call it the top half of a triangle, and we'll see how
well it is a triangle.
Right now, we do see blue buff has respawned. This one is going to be donated over to Alexich. 118 CS on the board. That tier will stack significantly quicker. Sorcerer's Shoes in his back pocket, and if he can get some more of those 2- and 3-man shockwaves, that could be what is required. Remember, if everyone gets pulled closer together, the effective power of that knockup from Aatrox just gets amplified so much more. Basically like a shorter range Malphite ulti in many ways.
We've been talking about combos all day long here pretty much, and that's a very effective one, but it's so hard to pull off the timing on that. Shockwave into Dark Flight. You have to remember, Dark Flight has 2 circles. Only the inner circle actually gets the knockup, which is about auto attack range for Aatrox, so it's not that large.
We'll have to see whether or not they can make it stick. There's a little bit of difference in itemization here for Gambit's Genja and Lemondogs tabs. BF Sword followed in from those 3 Doran's Blades. I don't know why I'm surprised. Genja does tend to build Bloodthirster into Last Whisper into GA. It's something he's been doing for a very long time. And we'll probably see that again. But it is, of course, very early days. Over on the other side, Tabs has got a CS advantage. He's got that Cutlass completed. And once he gets the Blade of the Ruin King, it's going to be a very scary Vayne.
Yeah, I guess Genja just does not value attack speed. Even on a Kog'Maw here, he's going with his tried and true build.
Well,
the triple Doran's Blades.
Very luckily, one of Kog'Maw's abilities will give him some attack speed. So he'll maybe banking on that just for now. And to be fair, Misfortune's got an attack speed buff as well. So maybe that's where the lack of itemization stems from.
We will have a difference in spikes then, or in power levels here. Vayne, as soon as she completes Blade of the Ruin King, gets so much to synergize with her kit that is already very assassin-y heavy for an AD carry. And then we can see Tabs actually have the ability to make plays, whereas Genja is still just going to be a backline source of artillery for Gambit.
And everybody misses on the bottom line. Woo. Stranglethorns goes out, a little bit of damage into Gambit's bottom lane, but nothing knocks him up in the air. Death Sentence gets thrown on, that goes wide too, and absolutely nothing comes of that one. So we'll probably be waiting until the Stranglethorns comes up once again for Mithy before they try to jump on anybody. We aren't seeing any massive differences here in CS. There is 12 or so difference between the AD carries, and there is about 20 odd difference between the mid laners. But those numbers have been there for a fairly long time. Neither team is really pulling significantly further ahead. And if you discount the gold, Gambit in the lead.
Hey, quick shot. We have some action coming here. Nukeduck's looking to make something. He has not been seen by Gambit coming up through wards, so this could be an effective dive with Zed.
We'll see if it works out. Deathmark goes down. We're going to look for the pop. Darian's gone low, and the pop picks it up. Nukeduck and Zoro combo together in a very successful tower dive.
Okay, they did get Darian, and Zoro still has his passive. Clear win right there for Lemondogs, as they haven't even had to sacrifice lane minions. Very good rotation of Dexter towards the mid lane to pick those up. It is hard for him to CS against Alex, but he's doing a very good job here, using his abilities and buying time for Nukeduck to get back to lane. As a jungler, you don't always have to be the one making the moves, making the ganks happen. If your mid laner can get through the wards that are usually scattered around there, then he can be the one to make the rotations, and you get to clean up lane farm.
And this is something that we did highlight in the preamble to this game, is how Nukeduck does like to roam. Nukeduck is a mid laner that likes to move around the map, likes to get involved in the other lanes, and you know, he wants to help his buddies out. He wants to try get them in a superior position. You know, Zoro was a little bit behind in CS, so that might just help him out just a tiny bit more. Got that Sunfire Cape completed now, got an assist on the board as Nukeduck does return back to this mid lane. Deathmark is already available.
That's actually a reason why I was a little bit surprised there was no lane ward for the mid lane from Alex, because Zed is sort of similar to TF in that way. At least the way that Nukeduck plays him, he'll like to shove up his lane and then go for those roaming kills. If you have a ward, then you can see which way Zed leaves the lane once again.
You see a difference in itemization this time around for Diamond Prox. As far as his boots are concerned, he's got those boots of mobility up, so definitely feels like he wants to be around the map, wants to be able to respond and maybe make more plays happen by simply being so much quicker. Right now, we haven't seen too many of those plays. It's only that 1,000 gold that separates these teams. You see Alex is about to breach 200 CS. I'm trying to remember who it was. Somebody had 350 CS at 30 minutes, and it might have been Alex yesterday, but I'm testing my brain, and he's definitely doing phenomenal right now on this mid lane Orianna, as far as his CS is concerned, and his Zhonya's Hourglass is completed. Zed is much less of a threat.
He will be able to immune the Deathmark, but he won't be able to cast while he does it. That's the big difference there between the answers and items to Zed's ultimate. You can either Quicksilver Sash off the damage, or Zhonya's herself in place. Now, the other item that people may not even know what it does Oh, here we go. Shockwave initiate.
They pull Zoro forward. He throws down Let's Bounce. Flash is available if he needs it. He continues to run away. The slow does land. Now that Darian's joined in, this is going to quickly become a 3 versus 3. Nukeduck decides to go onto Alex. If Deathmark is there, the damage will be popping. With Stranglethorns throws up members of Gambit, and Darian is the only man that's knocked in the air. Cataclysm goes down. In the background, we did see Dragon secured there by Dexter. Alex is still alive.
Take the lantern.
The shield keeps him alive. He picks up a kill. He's traded. Finally, Mythy picks him up. The kills on the board. 1 down for Gambit, 2 down for Lemondogs, but Lemondogs got the dragon.
Alex, that was a beautiful decision. I would have taken the lantern every time. Alex is a bit more manly, goes in, gets the kill right in that bush. Let's take a look at the replay here, and we'll actually have Fog of War for this one too. So Alex does use his Zanyas to effectively dodge the damage from the Zed ult plus the knockup, so very nicely used right there. Both supports also zoning the exact same place in that fight, so that's why there's sort of a brawl down bottom, and with Genja not being there, there's more damage being done. But there we go. Dexter just sort of walks into that one. There was more damage being done by Lemondogs on the bottom side. That's why there wasn't a follow-up there from Gambit, because Genja had to go the safe way around behind the dragon, whereas Tabs on that power spike that he got from his Blade of the Ruin King was too much of a danger for Genja in a 1 versus 1 situation, and Genja has to be on the back line.
Well, we do see a difference in itemization here by Genja. He's picked up that Bilgewater Cutlass. He's finished his Berserker's Greaves. We'll have to see as and when those do get upgraded. Still only 1,000 gold separates these two teams. 4-4 in kills. Zoro just walks right past Darian, wards up the river, and then does return. They're trading some damage back and forth. They're stretching Strike and Unstable Matter, trading fairly evenly, but at this point in time, Darian may have a little bit of an advantage. We'll have to see how that pans out. In the bottom lane, Genja, 149 CS to Tabs' 168. The distance is still very, very similar, and you can see Genja, he wants to pick fights. That's the escape that you were talking about. All of a sudden, a Cogmore has a safe route out as long as that Lantern is available.
And he was just, that wasn't even a real fight. He was just trying to get a trade on here. Yeah, we do have a fight up top though, because Diamond wants to capitalize on Zorozio's passive being down.
Let's Bounce was used. There's no flash available. Zorozio continues to try to get away. Slingshot, not going to be enough. And Gambit pick up the 5th kill of the game. Now the Death Sentence catches onto Tabs. There goes the Stranglethorns. Voidal is the target. Deathmark has not been used as the attack. Shockwave was used on Tabs. Barriers keeping him alive. Come on, attack into distance. Isn't available. The ball doesn't reach. Tabs 1v1 Alex. And a Cathkin surprise not going to be enough as Nukeduck secures 2 quick replies. Great play by Gambit and the Lemondogs.
Especially Tabs right here. Let's take a look at the replay. This is Alex landing a nice shockwave and the dissonance after to get Tabs down to half. We think he's done, but he's got barrier. And because of that Blade of the Ruin King, beautiful maneuvering around the ball from Alex. He's able to keep him just out of harm's way from the last command attack. Finish off the Orianna. And
Nukeduck was able to save that death mark till it was needed. He picks himself up a 3rd kill of the game. Gold is now in favor of Lemondogs for the first time, but it is only 200 gold difference. Nukeduck working towards that last Whisper. He's had that blade completed. You can see the Phantom Dancer getting closer and closer for Tabs. And Gambit need to find a way to buy time. They find a way to get Cogmore a little bit more impactful. Find a way for Diamond Brush to complete a couple more items. He has once again gone for a Wriggles Lantern, Jungle, Aatrox.
So I don't even know if they need to buy time. People say time heals all wounds, but Lemondogs are actually the ones with an answer here. I don't know who is going to go up against Zed in the late game. We've already seen him right there have the potential to assassinate even tanks on this Gambit team. So it will have to be Gambit being the ones making the move. Again, Lemondogs will set up the board here and force Gambit to be the ones with the initiate.
Well, we'll see how they respond. You do see that Darian is doing very well with that Renekton. Spirit Visage, some 5k, you get a 50 CS advantage over Zoro Zac. He's going to be very, very strong. Dragon was taken a little while ago, so there's nothing available for these teams to move towards. Only 1 tower down a piece. The top lane tower for Lemondogs and the bottom lane tower for Gambit. But a lot of other global objectives are still standing. 23 minutes into the game, and the teams are now they're starting to roam. Now they're starting to group up and get together in higher numbers. So it just depends on what they feel they want to invade, what they feel they want to actually try and steal. Because in the previous game, Lemondogs were quite content to farm and try to control that blue buff.
Both teams have the exact same idea here. They have their AD carries farming the close lanes. The only thing is, Lemondogs have Zed, and he's going in for the assassinate.
So Genja does not have flash, does not have barrier, starts to get some auto attacks down. 50% is gone. The pop is going to finish him off, and Nukeduck does that in style. There's a massive fight in the mid lane. His Diamondprox does have his Blood Wall available, has not used it just yet. Zoro gets popped. Cell Division is there. All of the blobs sitting close together, and Darren is just going to get that area of effect damage down. He's ticking. He's going to be the next victim to fall as the Blood Well pops as well. Dark Flight manages to get Diamond up before Tabs lands a critical hit and picks up a kill. 1 for 2 in this mid lane, and Lemondogs winning that fight.
That was Gambit trying to react. They wanted to take advantage of Zed not being with the team, but Tabs did an amazing job of rotating down at the first sign of a fight.
Condemned throws Alex into the wall. A grasping roots comes up from Midi. They hold Alex in place, but Tabs not comfortable to dive.
And this makes me even more worried for Gambit's late game because we just saw them try to pull off that dive combo I talked about at the very beginning where they have Diamond initially tank the turret till his passive pops and then Darien pick it up, but it still wasn't enough to soak up all that damage. We can see here, Diamond gets very low, it's okay, they get the shockwave off, they use him as the point of contact, but then they switch it over to Darien, and he's getting chopped down by the stacking damage of the turret. They take so long to take up that passive of Zac under the turret. Tabs arrives, able to condemn him into the wall and chase him down.
And we do see Lemondogs securing yet another dragon, and you can't discount the fact that Tabs was there and Genja was not. In terms of your 4v4s, kind of need that AD carry if you're going to be going for those types of skirmishes, especially when you've got an AD carry like Hogball, who can put out so much damage with that by Arcane Barrage.
That's the problem with trying to answer for something when you're already behind. Gambit felt a little bit desperate because Genja had just been taken out essentially for free, for no counterpoint, so they felt they had to get something back for that loss. That's the type of mistakes that are going to cost you. That's why you need to stay level-headed in these games and not be emotional.
Well, we do see Zoro. He does get stunned up, does get knocked up, does get pulled backwards. Voidal throws himself forward, uses the flame. Zoro's lost 50% of his HP, but Dominus is up. That's a great Stranglethorn. It keeps all of Gambit out, but the Dark Passage is going to be enough to save Darien. Gambit bit off way more than they could chew.
Also, thank goodness for that shockwave from Alex. Also able to reposition in that fight. There's going to be no re-engage though because Genja's there with the vomit, as you said.
This time round, we do see the AD carry of the Lemondogs missing. Tabs is up top farming, while the rest of Gambit had a bit of a numbers advantage in the mid lane. Dexter, realizing he didn't want to pick a fight that he wasn't convinced he could win, decided to back away.
Yeah, that Zac is a tricky fish to land there. Even with the death sentence hook in his mouth, able to bounce away.
Now we see Diamondprox been jumped on. Deathmark's going to go out, does pop it even through the shield. Is not going to be enough. Nukeduck is unstoppable, 5-0-2, and he's making it look so easy.
That's exactly the plan when you have Zed. We talked about the power of his roaming. This is a Nukeduck champion right here. Alex having trouble in mid.
Oh, we do see he has a flash available. Can he get out? He manages to get the Zhonya's Hourglass off. Does not pop the flash and manages to get away cleanly. So Cataclysm, the only thing that was really used there, and it's not the longest of cooldowns.
The other guy that's not going to have long cooldowns is Nukeduck over here with his double buffs. He's walking around, fully warded up, bottom side jungle. He is just king of the hill over here.
Definitely trying to find somebody else to take down. Now the Lemondogs in this last passage of play have taken 3 more towers. They've got 4 towers down. Gambit are forced to this mid inner turret. Nukeduck is not afraid of anybody. That is a lot of damage down. The knockup lands onto Darien there by Dexter. Thinking about going in, but there's nothing else to lock him in place. The rest of Lemondogs now start backing away. Keep in mind, Midley and Tabs are not with that central cluster. Tabs is just solo split pushing this lane. Does have a 229 CS, grown that lead above Genja. Phantom Dancer completed and working towards either their Last Whisper or the Infinity Edge. We'll see what he decides to build.
Last Whisper would be a decent pickup because they do need to melt the front line here, but there's not a lot that he can do if he ever comes up against Nukeduck because Nukeduck has gone full armor shred. He really gives no cares about who comes to meet him in the bottom lane because he's got the max percentage penetration plus still flat penetration from that cleaver. And now he's choosing Alex.
The shockwave didn't manage to land. Unfortunately, Alex went down before Nukeduck could even do anything up in the top lane. Tabs was able to 1v1 Genja. So do you see a Catherine surprise? Not going to be enough to close him up.
Oh, Nuke Duck.
They're chasing him down. The knockup manages to get flashed away. He sidesteps the slow. Nuke Duck living shadows away. A flash from Darren. The ignite is ticking. Can Nuke Duck get away? Not going to be this time. 500 gold goes to Darian.
He got 2 flashes out of that, and he was able to take their time away, so that allowed Tabs to take down this top turret.
So that's definitely a trade the Lemondogs are going to be happy with. They extend the tower lead to 4 right now. 5-1 is the total. There's a 6,000 gold difference in Tabs. After going so incredibly low to Genji's Kog'Maw, has farmed his HP all the way back up. That Blade of the Ruined King doing overtime against those minions.
Dexter just going to take a peek, see if Gambit flinch, and they do because Alex is not there. But Lemondogs are definitely in control of this game because of that power. They have the option to split push, whereas Gambit don't. Even Tabs now is a better duelist. We talked about the power of Vayne with that Blade of the Ruined King.
He took more damage from the tower than he did from Genja.
Exactly. That's not a good sign. Genja's tried to put himself in a position to answer, actually skipping that Blade of the Ruin, or that Bloodthirster build that we usually see from him, and opting for Blade of the Ruined King. But even so, positioning yourself by a turret enables Tabs to just tumble condemn you in there, and with the stun, there's nothing for him to answer with. He has to have that Thresh next to him, which is the reason they picked Thresh, but he's been solo farming here and paid for it twice.
Now remember, ladies and gentlemen, that if the Lemondogs close this game out, they will be in the grand final tomorrow against Fnatic. They will be going to represent Europe at the World Championships. Right now, Darian has been caught out. Zoro dives himself in, doesn't get a knockup. Darian is the focus. Shockwave is good. Lots of people locked in the Cataclysm as the Stranglethorns come down. They've traded a top laner for a mid laner. Now Zoro is the focus. Voidal forced to flash away. Dexter re-engages, gets a double knockup, and here comes Zoro. He pancakes Voidal into the ground. He's thrown up into the air. Cell Division gets popped, as is Bloodwell. Tabs and Genja are around. The question is, who's going to do more work? Tabs manages to pick up one. Now Genja turns back onto Tabs. Living Artillery picks up the kill. Genja is chasing down Mithy. Living Artillery does not land. His mana pool is dropping. Not going to be enough to pick up a kill. 4 for 3. Still advantage Lemondogs.
Tabs got a little hypey there. Tumbling in too close. Slipped on the ooze from Genja. But still, even with Tabs being the last to arrive at that fight, they came out ahead. They got 1 extra kill there. Small win for Lemondogs. Gambit are actually happy with that trade because they're behind right now and they need to gain that free lane farm for Genja. This is what we talked about, Nuke Duck not caring who he uses his burst on. It's effective on Darian, or it was semi-effective there. It wasn't on Darian, they're on the same team. But it put them in the position that they got locked up by Alex's Shockwave, which enabled them to pull off that combo of the Diamond Dark Flight in there. At this point, they think they do have the opportunity to finish it off and chase down for the Cell Division, but that's just because Tabs was not there from the beginning.
Genja was at least able to pick himself up a little bit of extra gold, and that could be a much-needed confidence boost for Gambit. But you see Genja very overextended. He's actually stolen away that blue buff. He's got those little rings running around him, so well played. Unfortunately, that does mean that Lemondogs have got positioning on this dragon, and they should be able to secure this one uncontested. Gambit, nowhere to be seen, unfortunately.
Also, when I said Darian, I meant Darian.
Yeah, it was, of course, the top laner of Gambit. Nuke Duck jumped on him. Now we do see that Seraph's Embrace was completed by Alex Hitch. He's working himself towards that death cap, and his Shockwaves, while they haven't been game-changing, they have still been effective.
Yeah.
It worked very well.
Especially in that last fight. With Zed committing with his ulti, grouped up 2 members of Lemondogs at least, and was able to get off a decent Shockwave.
So we are at the 32-minute point in the game. 51,000 to 46,000, 17 kills to 10. And what this means in Europe is Baron is going to be the next point of call. You can see there is a ring of vision already being littered here by Lemondogs. And whether they decide to try it or bait it, this is probably going to be where the next fights happen. You can see both of the teams grouping around. Dexter that starts the fight first. Doesn't knock up Diamond once again. Knocked up mid, jump, Shockwave, catches 3 members of Lemondogs in the background, but that is a great Stranglethorns. They pin Voidal into the wall as Zoro re-engages. Let's bounce is what he yells. Manages to knock up multiple members of Gambit, and this fight is heavily in favor of the Lemondogs. They've secured 3 kills as they turn their attention to the mid tower.
Oh, Nuke Duck was able to flank around the side and combo Genja nothing coming out of Gambit's AD carry in that fight. He just blew up at the very start. Double buff Genja goes down to almost nothing here. Even though there was a beautiful shockwave, without the damage to back it up, they can't continue on. All they get is the true damage from him popping, and then a very easy second engage here. Zach going in, and the rest of Lemondogs not letting up. That's going to turn into a Baron. No way Gambit can contest after that. Again, Lemondogs, the planning pays off.
Genja desperately needs to get his hands on a Quicksilver Sash. He needs to be able to mitigate the damage of that Death Mark. Even then, it's going to be hard-pressed to survive the amount of burst and damage coming out of Nukeduck, because those shurikens and slashes, they hit like a truck too. So very, very careful what Genja has to be with his positioning. Rely on the range of that Cogmore W.
And it wasn't even that much of a mistake there by Voidal. They're counting on, you know, the Dark Passage to save him. But the Lantern was thrown. He even took the Lantern. Too little, too late. All Zed needed was one rotation, and he just popped Genja. He's going to need some sort of defensive item here. It's going to have to be armor-based, or the Quicksilver Sash to just take everything off.
Well, the Lemondogs feel that armor-based defensive items are important. You can see 2 Randian's Omens are completed already. You can see a Guardian Angel in the hands of Tabs. You have to kill him twice if you want to take him down. He's basically got a damage build already. He's going to be working towards even more damage as this game goes on. Lemondogs have extended their gold lead to 8,000 gold. And now with the Baron buff up, they seem to be poising for a siege, but Tabs is continuing to split push. He seems to be the one that they want to funnel all of that farm into.
They funneled that farm into him so hard that he got a Guardian Angel before a member of Gambit got a Guardian Angel. That's never a good sign.
It has to be some sort of record. We'll have to see how well Gambit can defend, because there's a massive pause button on any of the actions they want to take. Not only are they behind in gold, not only are they behind in everything else, there's a Baroned up team they have to deal with, and I hope they don't pick a fight in open ground. It's something that we have seen a number of times in the summer splits as well. Poor team fight decisions when your entire opponent team has Baron.
Gambit are wishing for a reset button here, not even a pause button. They'd love to just start all over, because there's 2 extremely strong solos here. Tabs up top, being able to push by himself, while Nukeduck still can do his thing down bottom. They're trying to just pressure all 3 lanes at the same time with this Baron buff, even though they have Zach, who's gone an extremely tanky build and can dive turrets.
Now, Tabs right there, we've seen him take 1 or 2 auto attacks in a living artillery, and it was actually dropped to half health by Genja. If anybody can hold him in place without Zed killing Genja, that may be what they need to win these team fights. And right now, Lemondogs, they don't want to group up. They don't want to run the risk of the shockwave and the knock-up combos landing. Once again, Genja just trying to trade with Tabs. He seems to be doing okay, but Tabs just farms up the wave, gets his HP back, and Lemondogs continue this basically 3-lane push strat thing.
The old 3-lane push strat thing. Yeah, it's more Lemondogs. They're a very patient team, and they didn't want to rush anything here, but it looks like they finally made the calculations and decided that Zach is tanky enough. His cell division is available, and he can be the one to start this off.
Well, we do see Stranglethorns has been started. Mithy's been stunned up. Dexter forced to flash away. Here comes Zoro. He's bouncing in the Cataclysm. That is a great place for all that area of effect damage. Now in the background, Nukeduck is going to destroy Genja. Shockwave only really catching Dexter underneath the tower. 2 members of Gambit are down for only the single member of Lemondogs. Zhonya's Hourglass isn't going to be enough. Rooted in place, unstable matter. Zoro does get out of it alive. That is a 4-for-1 exchange. This is going to be the inhibitor.
The only thing that Gambit were able to answer was killing Nukeduck, and that's just because it was at the turret. Gambit were the ones starting that off because they did not have vision of Zoro, and though he didn't start it off, he came out with a very good counter initiation, the slingshot into Let's Bounce, right on top of the front line of Gambit.
These death timers are so incredibly long. Lemondogs are looking to finish. Zoro tanks up a couple turret hits, decides to back away. They're trying to use the Zyra seedlings to try and tank up the Nexus turret. They get 1. Now there's a minion wave in here. There should be a super minion attached to the next wave. Lemondogs decide to play this one safely and back away. Gambit have 1 more lease on life, have 1 potentially more chance to bring this game back.
Let's take a look again at this Gambit aggression that starts it off, and it's actually Mithy who makes the call. Gets a very nice Stranglethorn there. Genja, look at him. He's not getting auto attacks here until he flashes out of the Cataclysm, which is when Nuketook goes in for the assassination. He gets Genja, that's all they needed from him. He can die an honorable death now. And the rest of Lemondogs are going to be able to clean up Gambit because there's no source of damage from the back line. Alex, with the late Zanyas, not going to be enough.
Lemondogs are tantalizingly close to securing their spot in LA.
Yeah.
All they have to do is just push down one more turret, one more Nexus. And Gambit, potentially not going to be there. If Gambit loses, it's going to be Gambit versus Evil Geniuses in the third place decider. One of those teams won't be
Oh, we got Darren getting snared up here.
Darren has been caught. He does have dominance available. Stuns Dexter. Shockwave only pulling Dexter backwards. Here comes the Stranglethorns. Alexic gets two-shotted by Tabs. The first victim is going to be a Russian. It's now the Lemondogs turning it on to Gambit. They've got 3 kills in the fight. They throw up the Crocodile. 4 members of Gambit are down, and the Lemondogs have done it.
Dexter is still alive. They're going to win this one. Boydell will have to do some magical work on Thresh here.
Lemondogs are going to take down Gambit 2-0 in a semi-final match here. They finished the regular season in first place. They're going to take out the stalwart of Season 2. And this is something that nobody expected. 66% of you thought that Gambit were going to win it. Lemondogs have 2-0 Gambit.
Okay, I'm a believer. I understand now why Lemondogs is at the top of the EU dogpile.
Ladies, gentlemen, there's going to be some sour tastes in the mouths of the Gambit players as they have also fallen victim. The Spring Split champions are once again in the finals tomorrow, and they will be facing a young upstart, one of the newest teams to the league. Fnatic versus Lemondogs in the European Regional Final, and it's going to be Gambit versus EG to decide who makes it to Worlds.
That will be a very exciting confrontation. Classical, actually.
It's a matchup that was finals all of last year. Gambit versus EG was the matchup that you've seen in the grand finals of every tournament during the course of 2012. And those are some very, very stern looks on the side of Gambit right now. They were hoping to win this one. I mean, we heard their voices. If they're not at Worlds, they said the season is a failure, in their own words.
Well, we started talking about the history between them and EG, which used to be CLG EU. They are not confident. Either of those teams are not confident going against each other. They've really had a very long back and forth history. So Gambit definitely know that they have a tough road ahead of them to now get to Worlds.
And you have to give props to the Lemondogs.
Oh man.
Both of the games, picks and bans, itemization, decision making. I find it very difficult to find faults and flaws in the game. I feel like...
Well, they did win both games. So.
Yeah, the things that went wrong, or the kills they gave up, the objectives they lost, was more to do with Gambit making the right decisions than it was about Lemondogs making mistakes.
I mean, Lemondogs, they seem to have the superior late game plan here. And without Gambit getting anything surprising in the early game, they weren't able to get Lemondogs off the road that they set themselves on.